Hello and welcome to another VectorTAS screencast. My name is Maciej Lenartowicz and today I'm gonna show you how to create an eye-catching web button. So I've gone ahead and created a background layer where I placed a simple rectangle filled with a subtle gray gradient. And on a new layer I'm gonna start off by creating a new rectangle. I'm just gonna click here and input my values, which will be 860 by 200 pixels. Okay, I'm gonna center the rectangle on my page, and I'm gonna fill it with a gradient, with a nice blue gradient ranging from 34, 118, 143. Those are, of course, our RGB values. And the other value of the gradient will be 80, 200, 250. Okay, the gradient looks pretty much okay, but I still don't like the alignment of that, so I'm just gonna click in this field, enter 90 degrees, and hit enter. Okay, the next thing I want to do is to round the corners of this rectangle. So I'm just gonna select it, go to Effect, Stylize, Round Corners. I'm gonna click the preview box to see if I like the value, and 40 pixels looks pretty much okay, so I'm gonna click OK. Okay, another thing is to get rid of the outline of the stroke color. So I'm just gonna select my rectangle and choose None in this tariff palette. Okay, the gradient looks okay, but it lacks a little bit of depth. So I'm gonna click my rectangle once again, go to Effects, choose Stylize, and Inner Glow. And the values I want to use here are opacity of 50%, blur of 30 pixels, and the color I'm using here will be a subtle blue or cyan of RGB values 152 to 30 to 49. So I'm gonna click OK, check the preview box, it looks great, so I'm gonna click OK. Okay, we now need to add some drop shadow just to bring the rectangle up the page a little bit more. So with our rectangle selected, go to Effects, Stylize, and Drop Shadow. The values used here are the ones I'm looking for, so X offset of 0, Y offset 5 pixels, and blur of 5 pixels. We're gonna use black as our shading color, and the blending mode of multiply at opacity of 75%. So the preview looks great. I'm gonna click OK, and there it goes, my rectangle. The next thing I'd like to do is to create a subtle highlight going on the top of our rectangle. So I'm gonna use an ellipse to draw out a rough shape of an ellipse, and I guess I'm liking this one. So I'm just gonna release here, and what I need to do next is to grab this rectangle and use it as a cookie cutter to get an intersection of those two paths. So I'm gonna copy it using Control C. I'm gonna click on this ellipse and press Control F. Okay, now I don't need all these effects, so I'm just gonna go to the Appearance palette and drop everything except for my round corners. Excuse me, effect. So once I've done that, I'm just gonna keep my rectangle selected, go to Object, Expand Appearance. This rounds off those corners, and they are no longer a live effect. This is just a regular path. So I'm gonna click this rectangle, I'm gonna click the ellipse, and with those two objects selected, I'm gonna go to my Pathfinder palette, and I'm gonna go for the intersect option. I'm gonna click it, and now I have a small highlight just on top of the rectangle. Okay, I'm gonna fill with another gradient, and that's gonna be a white gradient. That's already a gradient, but I'm gonna switch it to linear, and once again change the I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees to get something like this. Actually, that's not the thing I'm looking for, since I was looking for a gradient going from white on top and white opacity, white swatch, zero opacity at the bottom. So I'm gonna click this button to reverse it, and this looks pretty much okay. The next thing I want to do with this is to go to the transparency palette, change its blending option to screen, and reduce the opacity to 50%. That looks pretty much okay. I like the values. Okay. My base is ready, and what I like to do right now is to add a cloud. So I'm gonna create a new layer and call it cloud. I'm gonna grab the line segment tool and make sure that my stroke is white and that my fill is set to none. Having done so, I'm gonna shift, drag a horizontal line. I'm gonna click this stroke link and change my cap to rounded. Also, I'm gonna increase the weight of the stroke to 96 points. I'm gonna reposition this stroke right here, and I'm gonna go to Object menu and choose Expand. Okay, the next thing is to grab the ellipse tool and create a couple of circles. And what I'm trying to do here is to get this puffy, big puffy cloud look. So once you're happy with the result, you can click all of those shapes, go to Pathfinder palette and choose Unite. There's my cloud, and I'm gonna fill it with a gradient, and this gradient is ranging from pure white to a blue color of RGB values of 115, 191, 222. I'm just gonna grab my gradient tool to reposition the gradient like so. Alright, the next thing is to grab this cloud shape, and using the scale tool, the easiest way to do that is to press S, adjust the size of the cloud. Okay, I like the appearance, so I'm gonna click it, and with the scale tool again, and making sure that your smart guides are on, you wanna click the bottom edge of the cloud, somewhere about here, and Shift Alt drag down. That's gonna create a copy of the cloud. Actually, I'm gonna scale it down just a little bit more, and there it goes. Okay, I wanna create another copy, so I'm gonna click here and scale down. And just to add a little bit of variance, I'm gonna click in the middle. I'm gonna click the middle section of the cloud, right click again, choose transform, reflect, and okay, and this reflects my cloud horizontally. Okay, so this is done. There's just one more thing. I'm gonna click the cloud and give it a drop shadow. So stylize, drop shadow. And the values I'd like to use here are opacity of 50%, offset 0, and blur of 5 pixels. I'm gonna preview that, and that looks a little bit too strong, so I'm gonna reduce the opacity 30%. That looks perfect. Alright, so our cloud is ready. Let's create a rainbow now. And we're gonna do that using brushes. So let's create our brush first. I'm gonna grab my rectangle tool and create a rectangle, and the dimensions are going to be 16 pixels times 20 pixels. So that's our rectangle, and I'm gonna give it a stroke of none, and the fill is going to be red. I'm gonna click this rectangle and Shift Alt drag a copy. I'm gonna press Ctrl D to copy my last transformation. I'm gonna do this once again just to get a sum of 4 rectangles. The first one is red, The second one is going to be orange. The third one yellow, and the last one is going to be green. Okay, now I'm gonna drag a marquee around all those rectangles, open my brushes palette, and drag the group here. In this new dialog box, I'm gonna choose new art brush and change the orientation of the brush to so. I'm just gonna rename it and call it rainbow. Okay, I don't need this group anymore, so I'm just gonna mark you around it and delete it. To create the arc of our rainbow, we're gonna use the ellipse tool, and the stroke will be set to white, the fill to none. So I'm just gonna position my cursor more or less in the middle of the rectangle, and I'm just gonna draw a big ellipse about this. I'm gonna position it a little bit lower, and there it goes. Okay, now I don't need the whole ellipse, so I'm gonna use the scissor tool to get rid of the rest of the arc. So I'm gonna click here on this path, I'm gonna click here. I don't need this section, so I'm just gonna delete it. Okay, so select this part of the arc and click on your new brush, and this creates a rainbow. Now the rainbow looks okay, but it's a little bit flat, so we're gonna fix that right now. Okay, we can't edit any of those colorful stripes right now since this is a live effect, so we need to go to the object menu and choose expand appearance. Okay, this gives us a group, so let's go to object again and choose ungroup. Okay, what I'd like to do right now is to give a drop shadow to all of these elements. So I'm gonna select all of them, choose appearance, go to stylize, drop shadow, and I'd like to go with 30% opacity, no offset, and 5 pixels blur. I'm gonna click OK, and it looks great. Okay, now we have our rainbow in place, so we're actually don't need this part and this part. Since this part is quite easy to take care of, we're just gonna tuck it underneath of our cloud. We have to get this part, this section of a rainbow, and place it under a button. And we're going to do that using a clipping mask. So grab your rectangle tool, and let's change our stroke to white again, and our fill color to none, just that we can see our things better. Now, using the rectangle tool, draw a big box enveloping all those colorful stripes. Okay, once you've got that, draw another rectangle, but this time you have to match the upper rim, the upper edge of the rectangle. So we need something like this. Okay, grab your black arrow tool and click on both of those rectangles. Go to Pathfinder and choose minus front. Okay, our clipping mask is almost ready. So let's select the shape, shift marquee around our rainbow, go to object, clipping mask, make. The next element I like to add to my button is an arrow indicating upload or download. So I'm gonna click the new layer button, and I actually don't like the yellow color, so I'm gonna double click the layer and choose more appropriate color, something like, let's say, orange. I'm gonna click OK, and I'm good to go. So I'm gonna grab the rectangle tool and create a square. I'm gonna fill it with black. I'm gonna grab my rotate tool, or just press R, and drag, shift drag, to rotate my square 45 degrees. I'm gonna press Alt and release, and this creates a copy. I'm just gonna drag my rectangle down here, my square down here. I'm gonna choose my path, my pen tool to edit the path, and I'm just gonna click once here to get rid of that anchor point. I'm gonna position my arrowhead on top of the arrow, and I'm gonna scale it up a little bit more, just like so. Okay, I'm gonna select both shapes, go to Pathfinder and choose Unite. So that's the base of my arrow. I'm gonna reposition it on top of my cloud. Looks pretty much okay. And the effect I'm going for here is a sort of an inset appearance. So the way I'm gonna do that is to create an inner shadow, an inner drop shadow. So I'm gonna click this arrow, I'm gonna change its color to white. Next I'm gonna go to appearance and choose stylize inner glow. And the values I'm gonna use here are blending mode of multiply and the color of RGB values 152 to 30 to 149. The blur will be set to 10 pixels. Let's preview that. Looks fine. So I'm gonna click OK. And the last thing here is to change transparency in the transparency palette blending mode to multiply. And this presses our arrow into the cloud. Okay. Now I like the effect, but I'd like to enhance it a little bit. So I'm gonna click this arrow and drag out a copy. And with this copy, I'm gonna press D just to reset the settings, just to get rid of all the effects and restore the black stroke and white fill. I don't need the stroke, so I'm gonna just drag it to the trash. Now I'm gonna change the color to black. And also I'm going to add another glow. And the values I'm going for here is opacity 70%, blur of 2 pixels, and the color will be white. Let's preview that. And you can't see much, however. Just bear with me here, press OK. Position this arrow on top of the white one, choose transparency, and select the screen blending mode. And there you have it. Okay, the arrow is ready, so let's just rename this layer to arrow. Oops, arrow. Let it be arrow. Let's create a new layer, and let's add some text. I'm just gonna grab the text tool, click here, and input some text. And I like to use the Candera type font, since I like this font, so I'm gonna type in upload. I'm gonna position my text here, maybe scale it up a little bit, and change the color to white. The text looks okay, but it's a little bit flat, so let's select it once again, go to appearance, stylize, drop shadow, and this time I'm gonna go with 50% opacity, -1 X offset, and -1 Y offset. Blur set to 2 pixels. Press OK, and that's what we get. Okay, I'm gonna copy this font, and this time I'm gonna change it type to, I'm gonna change the font to Georgia. I'm also going to reduce the size. I'm gonna double click here to edit it, and type in something funny like upload your files sky high exclamation mark. This is still too big, so I'm gonna scale it down just to match the width of my upload text. And this type is quite nice, however I'm going to change it from regular to italic. Like so. And there it is. Your new web button, ready to upload or download, ready to put on your page. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and stay tuned for more. Bye bye, take care.